What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Friday business. It's Friday then. It's Saturday, Sunday. Ooh, it's Friday then. Yo, let's go, people. The weekend is back. Arsenal are back. Can we go 3-point collecting at home tomorrow against Brentford? Ivan Toney, I bet he'll have a good weekend. Bet Ivan. Sorry, it's a dad joke, people. But we're here again, people. It's been a bit of a quiet week for Arsenal. I've got to be honest. That's why I didn't bother streaming again yesterday. It was all Super League talk, which everyone jumped on it and made a big headline out of it. But to me, I had no real interest in going on about it too much. They were always going to try and bring a Super League back. The Premier League's too rich. It is what it is. So, yeah, you know me, I don't like to force content. And it's live, people. And it's like, your accounts are in trouble when Arteta's in the room. Da, 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 da. Come on, man. If they're not singing that at the Emirates tomorrow, bruv, I'm telling you, I don't even need a percentage. Your accounts are in trouble when Arteta's in the room. I mean, nah, man, nah. Come on, they need to put respect on my name. But listen, big up to the community, man. Big up to the community. Straight into Jorginho mode. I came in, jumping like a kangaroo penalty. Nice and slow, people. And listen, big up to everyone. Thank you for the great support, as always, on the channel. Big up everyone who subscribed to the Curtis Shaw Clips channel. It's probably the most shameless clips channel you're ever going to see on YouTube. So if you haven't already, get locked and loaded on that one, people. Big up to everyone in the chat. Hope you are well. Premier Football, big game tomorrow. I'm 25 years old. I must say Alexis is the best player I've seen in an Arsenal shirt. Wow. I mean, as you know, I forgive Alexis. I forgive him. Some people say, how can you put him on the background? I say, listen, man, he done the agent thing at Man United. You know what I mean? He was an agent. He didn't want to be there. He tried to jeopardise. Alexis, for me, I believe, along with Robert Pires, is the best winger I've ever seen at Arsenal. Some people will argue with that, and I get it. Ljungberg was a beast. Mark Overmars was a beast as well. Alexis, for me, I don't know if it's just because I saw him play live so many times, he was just unbelievable. He's one of the best players I've ever seen play for Arsenal. He's just a match winner. He just had that South American fearlessness about him. I just loved him. Loved him as a player. He does still love Arsenal. You know that. You can see it from the interviews, man. Van Persie, yeah, Van Persie definitely up there as one of the best. But yeah, that boy Alexis was special, man. He was special. Big up Buenos Aires. Bless up, bro, in the community. Thank God it's Friday. Alexis was a baller. Yeah, he scored golazos. He was a beast, man. He was an absolute beast of a player. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into it, people. A bit of press conference reaction later on. I cannot believe they haven't brought out a training kit today. Usually every Friday, a new training kit drops. But, of course, we lost. We lost to Everton, so maybe it was a bad week to drop it. Anthony says, Pires, Overmars, Ljungberg, and then Alexis. It's fair, it's fair. I put him in the top 2 out of them 4. Maybe that's a debate we'll have for another day. That would make a good debate to have. Kay said, I like Aubameyang more. Yeah, Aubameyang as a striker, Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into today's show, people. Before we do get into today's show, I don't know if anybody has checked out this Martin Odegaard piece that's come out, the Player Tribunal, where they go a little bit more into detail about your life. I think Adriano did a really good one recently, and that was a really good read. But Odegaard's done one. I believe it's on video as well. And the fan base are absolutely loving it. I can't lie. I'm a little bit... How can I put this? I don't buy into it all as much when you're still a player of that football club. I like the things that he's saying. I respect it. But I just don't get carried away with it. I do like, he was saying, like, since he left Norway at the age of 15, he's never felt at home anywhere. And I can understand that. He went to Real Madrid. They never really took him in as one as their own. He didn't get a lot of first-team football. He had a year on loan at Sociedad. He's probably been searching for home for a long time. And he's saying, listen, it's, this is the first place that has felt like home to him. I like it, but it's PR driven at the same time. So I'm a little bit 50-50. Maybe I'm just getting older, people. And you know when you're older, man, I think you're a little bit more... You're harsher towards these things. If I was like 21, I'd probably like, oh my God, he loves this club so much. You know, but as you get a bit older, you're like, just stop capping and lift the title. You know, that's all I want to see. Lift the title, show us your armpits. You know what I mean? That's how I am, people. I can't lie. But maybe I'm just getting older, you know. Winners the first title. We want to see those Norwegian armpits. You know what I mean? That's what we want to see. I'm just going to give you a couple of things he said. He said, I spoke to Mikel Arteta on a Zoom call. And he told me all about the project. At the time, they were way down, like 15th in the table. But that meeting, honestly, I challenge anyone to come away from a meeting with Arteta and not believe everything he tells you. Oh, my days. Mikel had him hypnotised, man. He was all over. I believe I can fly. Mikel had it. Oh, no, I better not sing that, actually. We've cancelled that, brother. So, yeah, but, you know, you get the vibe. He took him to places he never thought he'd be going in his mind. He said, what? Don't worry about 15th. That's just an illusion in your mind, Martin. Follow this. He had him hypnotised, bro. Man was hypnotised by the end of it. I told you. Mickey Ross, man, Coleman music. By the end of that, Martin Odegaard thought he was Meek Mill. I'm telling you, he didn't know what was going on. Meek Odegaard, people. So, yeah, man had him hypnotised. Man said, I challenge anyone to come away from a meeting with Arteta and not believe everything he tells you. I mean, boy, he'd be good to have a meeting with him. I'm quite skeptical, so I would enjoy that conversation with Mikel. It was a funny one. Do you know the biggest one that got me with what he said? Man said, cancel that, don't go anywhere. Don't worry, we'll take that bit off the stream later on. I got carried away. Sometimes I forget, people. I forget. I'm going to be honest. Growing up, you know, I'd put on a little bit of Usher or a little bit of R. Kelly. I have to kind of remember that we've had to delete him. You know, I can't sing them songs no more. Mikel Hypnoteta, man's hypnotising people. The biggest bit of cap that I thought was real funny. See, I respect this bit, all right, the Zoom call, but do you know the one that really got me? Odegaard said when he was younger and he used to play FIFA, for some reason, he used to pick Arsenal. He said, I wasn't an Arsenal fan, I just liked the way they played football, so I always picked Arsenal on FIFA. I was a bit like, is he capping? I mean, I'm trying... listen, maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe we can get his FIFA account. I need to know. Martin Odegaard is 24. Let's say he was playing FIFA 10 years ago, 2013. Who did we have them times there? Maybe a Van Persie. Okay, maybe he was hanging on. But I've got to be honest. I haven't been picking Arsenal on FIFA for a long time. But the fans are milking it. They can't get enough of it. They're absolutely all over it. Apparently, he's a Liverpool fan, but he loved Real Madrid growing up, but he picked Arsenal on FIFA in 2013 when we probably had Nicholas Bentner, a man like that. So, you know, I think there's some real cap in this interview. But listen, it's a PR masterpiece. I can't lie. It is a PR masterpiece. He goes on to say... on Arteta, he is next level. It's hard to explain. He's passionate, he's intense, and sometimes he's a bit crazy. But when he speaks, you understand that whatever he says will happen, will happen. Boy, Capdegaard, I mean, boy. Central C, man, boy. Odegaard believes anything. I'd love to have a meeting with Arteta. He believes anything he tells him. Whatever he says will happen, it will happen. I mean, listen, he's really got him in his spell. I can't lie. Anything else? So he's drinking a bit of Prime there, by the way. He told me his plan, everything he was building towards. He knew exactly what needed to change at the club. He told me all about these amazing young players, Saka, Martinelli and Smith-Rowe. He told me how he wanted me to fit in and how I was going to improve. I mean, stop the cap. Stop the cap. But listen, it is what it is. The fan base love it, by the way. They're absolutely going mental online. Oh, my God. Oh, Odegaard. I love him so much. Listen, he's a good player. Yeah, ask Arteta for the lottery numbers, man. We need to know what's going on, man. It's inflation. We need to, we need to win some money. Yeah, and that's the last one. Yeah, Wasim, thank you for reminding me. He said, when he hears North London Forever come on, when he's standing in the tunnel, he sings it quietly under his breath while staring at the armband on his arm. I mean, he's painted a beautiful picture. I'm not going to lie, I was reading the interview in silence. I was like, North London Forever, these streets are our own. And you know me, again, maybe I'm just getting older, people. That North London Forever tune, man, it hasn't connected with me yet. I can't lie. When I hear it come on, I'm just like, just turn it off and put something crazy on, man. Put some Rocky Balboa tunes on. I'd much rather him like, rising up under the street. You know, I'd rather see Odegaard come out like that, people. Get him, Rack! You know what I mean? This North London Forever, man, it ain't connected with me yet. But maybe we need to win titles and that. And then, you know, I can imagine You'll Never Walk Alone, maybe. Wasn't that much of a banger at the start. But once you win some titles and that, the song means everything. So, I don't know. Yeah, maybe at the parade, maybe then I'll be all over it. But at the moment, yeah, maybe I'm just being a grumpy older man, you know. Maybe I want to see some Migos. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man. But anyway, let's stop capping, people. He'll be singing it under his breath tomorrow at 3 p.m. as he stares at the armband and walks out onto the pitch. The thing about Big C, you never know if he's serious or it's just entertainment. Information and entertainment, DV. You just got to work with me there, people. You just got to work with me. Clip the shadow boxing. Yeah, clip it, man. Just clip it. We'll put that on the Clips channel. Big up to Connor with the super chat. Arteta doesn't cap. He's more of a Fedora guy. Well, let's see. He said we're gonna win. If he probably told him we're gonna win the title. So let's see if that happens. Anyway, a couple of transfer stories to talk about. Don't get hypnotized, by the way, by anything that Arteta says in the press conference later on. I need you all to stay conscious and, you know, keep involved in what we're talking about. Because apparently, according to Odegaard, anything he says, you just believe it. So, you know, calm down. Make sure you keep it locked until the end of this. I've got Alexis on the background today. That's when, if you see Alexis or Anelka on the background, I'm a bit rebellious. I'm still a little bit annoyed that we lost last Saturday. So I had to pull out Alexis Sanchez, you know. But anyway, man moving like Robbie Sammy. Now, that's still a banger of a video, I can't lie. Anyway, couple transfer stories, then we'll get some press conference reaction. Then look ahead to the game tomorrow. Big game against Brentford. I'll be live 2:15 for a 3 p.m. kickoff, people. So, let's talk about this man. Manuel Locatelli, Savallo, arrivederci. Manuel Locatelli, Juventus midfielder, 25 years of age, market value 30 million euros. He's being linked with a move to Arsenal. Again, are the papers short of stories? Or is Edu going back through the same phone book and just looking for the same players that we've already tried to get before? I'm just going to give you a bit of context. Now, Locatelli's brother has done an interview talking about his brother's season and his time at Juventus. He said, Manuel had a very difficult decision to make regarding which club to join. He was always interested in a move to Juventus as he's a boyhood fan and I would say a fanatic of Juventus. Arsenal were also very interested in him, but at the time Juventus were fighting for the title. Arsenal were not in such a good position. That's an understatement. They then go on to this story that's coming out of Calcio Mercato or something. The headline is Locatelli is a flop. The guy writing it says Locatelli is a shadow of the player that joined from Sassuolo, and you have to question what has happened to him. His role has changed. He was an energetic box-to-box midfielder who could do everything. Since joining Juventus, he sits in front of the back four and plays the ball sideways. Fans of Juventus are questioning whether he should continue beyond this summer, people. So, it does say here, Juventus may be tempted to cash in if they can get their money back, 40 million euros, which is around 35 million pounds. So, let's get the first poll of the day. Why not, people? It's Friday. Let's get a poll. Now, what's interesting with this? I'm gonna I want to know your opinions on this. Number one, would you take him? £35 million. Number two, I'm trying to look at it in the sense of, I'm looking at it like this. Juventus have just let Weston McKennie go to Leeds on loan with an option to buy, right? If they stay up, they will sign him. So that's one midfielder out the door. You've then got to look at it like this. Adrian Rabiot is out of contract this summer and apparently has refused to sign a new deal. So that's two midfielders potentially out the door. McKennie gone and Rabiot gone. That then only leaves them with Locatelli, Paredes and Paul Pogba. Now, Pogba hasn't played one game all season. So they'd have three centre mids and one of them hasn't played. So number one, I'm looking at it. Why would they sell him? Right? That would not make sense to me. They're also in a situation now. They're not going to make the Champions League. Right? They're having a nightmare season. They may not even make the Europa League. They're in debt. They've had to sack their board members. I don't understand why they would sell him. They are, at the moment, they are 13 points off a Champions League place. They're not going to make that. They're 12 off even the Europa League. And they're 12 off a Conference League place. They may not even be in Europe next season. For me, I don't think he's a bad player. I'm not overly angry with him because he didn't come to us before. I know a lot of people say, he came to us. He should have came to us. And now, I wouldn't take him. I think this is a little bit different to other situations because you've got to look at it. He's a boyhood Juventus fan. He's an Italian. He loves that club. They were top of the league or second in the league, I believe, at the time to AC Milan. We were like 7th in the league. In what mind is he going to come to Arsenal over Juventus when he's a boyhood fan? He never disrespected us like Vlahovic's agent was doing. I just think for me, for £35 million, I don't think it's the answer. He doesn't seem to want to leave Juventus. It seems he could get kicked out of Juventus. I would rather take Ruben Neves. I would rather pay an extra 15, 20 and get Vlahovic. I would rather pay maybe an extra 30 and go and get Caicedo. For me, if we need a midfielder in the summer, which we do, he could be on the list, but he would be low down. Me, I wouldn't particularly want him, if I'm being honest. Not the most mobile, out of form. Not sure he actually suits the way we play that much. I think he's a little bit sluggish as well. So, and the report actually says that Mikel Arteta is a big, big fan of him. But for me, I wouldn't really go for him. And I'm not being funny. There's no way they should be getting their money back. They're in debt. They're all over the place financially. And the guy's out of form. So if they paid £35 million for him, I'd be offering 20 million for him. So for me, no chance. I've got to be honest. Tielemans out of contract this summer. Caicedo, I think, will be allowed to leave. Declan Rice allowed to leave. Milinkovic-Savic will be allowed to leave. If we were crazy ambitious, Jude Bellingham, which obviously I don't think we'll get that. So for me, I wouldn't be interested. People saying there, Kessie could be allowed to leave this summer. I wouldn't want anything to do with him. And it's not because he chose to stay. I just don't think he's what we need. I think we need energy and real quality on the ball. Techman said Arteta is a big fan of slow, immobile, unathletic midfielders because they remind him of his playing days. When you look at Spanish football, and this isn't being disrespectful to anyone who supports Spain, they tend to like technicians in midfield. Keep the ball moving. You look at Xavi's, Iniesta's, Busquets, Xavi Alonso, Fabregas, David Silva, a lot of these Spanish midfielders, they're technical players. They're not necessarily runners, powerful, goal scorers, although Fabregas was. So I think these kind of players, Arteta really respects them. Techman's come in with the clip off saying they remind him of Arteta. That's why he likes it. I have to admit, I wasn't a big fan of Arteta when he played for Arsenal. Not because he was a particularly bad player, because he was the Cesc Fabregas replacement, and Fabregas was generational. And when we replaced him with Arteta, I mean, that's like selling your Lamborghini and getting a Ford Escort. You know, it'll get you from A to B, but it's just not the same. So, yeah, that's all I can say on that matter. Jashar said, big up Curtis. Look, Locatelli puts the phone on Mikel Arteta 2 years ago as my joke. Now he's sitting by the phone, hoping Arsenal call him if he stay there with Juve. I hear what you're saying, and someone said there, listen, if he's such a boyhood Juventus fan, stay with him and get him out of the mess. And I hear you on that. For me, leave him there, man. Make him go on, man. You know what I mean? That's not what I want. I don't want Locatelli at Arsenal. No, I'm not saying Iniesta is slow. He was a dribbler, though, wasn't he? He was a dribbler more than a runner. Big up Jashar with the super chat, by the way. If Iniesta wasn't a quick runner, if you play the ball over the top, he ain't going to be lightning quick sprint. But he was an elite dribbler on the ball. Different kind of pace, I would say. If there's any truth to this, we're top of the league, agent choosing our name for clout. Big up the ting, see? But you know the thing, and this is the thing, blood type, right? We're top of the league, so you're thinking, okay, we're going to go for big boys. But in January, if I'd have said Jorginho's being linked with Arsenal, you'd have said his agent choosing our name for clout to get him a move out of Chelsea. Turns out we actually signed him. So, would you be surprised if Arsenal signed Locatelli in the summer? Because I wouldn't. It's a typical Edu move. Club need money. Players not happy. He'd be cheaper than before. Edu's obviously spoken to his agent in the past to try and get him. So on paper, it looks like his agent trying to get him a move. But would you be surprised if Arsenal did this deal? I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because when have Arsenal really surprised you and done a deal where you're like, wow, didn't expect them to do that. So, you know, I hear what you're saying. Alfred, been a while. I know the City situation is crazy, but what about us? We've been spending the last 3 years, haven't really sold anyone. I think the difference with us, though, 3 years, you got to remember, we get 60,000 in the ground every year. We get huge sponsorship deals. We are a massive football club worldwide, man. I don't think 3 years of big spending puts us in FFP trouble. I really don't. Our wage bill isn't as big as City's. Nah, we'd be fine. We'd be fine. I think if we sold Willock, Guendouzi, Torreira, we haven't earned a lot of money, to be fair. I'm an elite dribbler after many bottles of wine. Almost asked the mod to time you out. Aye, Nimbo came in. I weren't happy with it. Massive fan base too. Exactly, man. We make money, man. Make sure to subscribe, Curtis Shaw TV and Curtis Shaw Clips, and follow Curtis Shaw 9 on all socials. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Does he speak Portuguese? Well, if he does, he'll be an Arsenal player very soon. Anyway, let's move on. Let me end that poll. I don't even really want to talk about Locatelli, to be honest. It's not a very exciting deal either, is it? Let's be real. 65% said no, 35% said yes. So there we go. Majority of you saying no. Did you see Pep's presser today? Yeah, I was very intrigued to see what Pep said. And he said what I expected him to say. Oh, you're all making us guilty already. And UEFA and blah, blah, blah. We knew all this was going to happen anyway. And I saw a report yesterday. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but they're saying that this case could take over 2 years before it's actually settled. So, yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up that anything's going to happen anytime soon. Pep might have left by then and just leave them to it. So, yeah, don't get carried away thinking they're going to get a points deduction anytime soon, because they're saying this could take 2 years to settle because the case is so complex. Yeah, it is what it is. 2 to 4 years was it, apparently. That's crazy. Curtis, did you see 50 Cent is going to be on the Nas next album? Oh, I'll be looking forward to that. You know, I'm a Queensbridge fan, big QB fan. Pep is too funny. His reactions are legend. Pep's unbelievable. I love Pep. What a manager. Another player that we are being linked with, people. Let's talk about this one. Spanish international winger Ansu Fati. I can't lie, his name always used to make me laugh. I'm sorry, it did. It's childish, I know, but It just did. Ansu Fati apparently was being linked with a move to Arsenal in January. And of course, the reason being his agent is George Mendes. And it seems as if now George Mendes and Edu, that's a position that they will talk about players. Fabio Vieira is signed to George Mendes' agency. It seems as if we're willing to sign players from George Mendes. He took Messi's shirt. Well, that definitely hasn't worked, has it? Big up Gunnarola, who said Big C Pep is letting the clip off. Fair play to him, man. He's got to defend his team, hasn't he, Fati was a baller until that injury. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I know it's very immature. I shouldn't be laughing at it, but, we're all children deep inside, aren't we? You know what I mean? Deep down, we're all just big kids. Gunnar Motley, hey, big up, bro. Big up Curtis and C Unit. Thanks for the shout out the other day. My channel's starting to do well. Yeah, make sure you go and support his channel. Big up to anyone who's ever got a channel. Feel free to promote it in the comments. I'll support people doing their thing. Listen, Ansu Fati. Xavi has said Ansu Fati is a player that we want to keep for the future, but he is not happy with the lack of game time. His agent has approached me and said other clubs are interested. If he wants to go, it would be down to the club to negotiate it, but he knows I value him at the club. Ansu Fati, very highly rated, Spanish international, went to the World Cup. He's got 3 goals this season, 4 last season. He's had a bad injury. And he could be the fall guy, to be honest. He could be the fall guy because it looks as if they want to hang on to some of the other players. And he could be the guy that goes. He's on 50 grand a week at the moment. I would take Ansu Fati. They're saying it could be as much as 50 million euros. Yeah, and I agree with you, man. Like, if I'm his agent and Arsenal came in, I'm going, well, where do I play? Where do I play? He's not playing over Martinelli for me, and he's not playing over Saka. So you leave him Barcelona's bench to come to Arsenal's bench. It doesn't make sense. The deal doesn't make sense, really. £42.5 million is 50 million euros. So you pay 42.5 million. He's on 50 grand. He's going to want 80, 90, 100. Nah, not for me. Not for me. If we're going to sign a winger, I want a winger that really puts pressure on our 2 wingers. Where I'm like, yo, do you know what? I don't think Ansu Fati is the answer. He's had a bad injury as well. Big up the Twitch gang as well. Big up the Twitch gang. 43 of you on Twitch. Nearly 2,000 of you on YouTube, people. Subscribe to the ting, people, and like the ting. Happy Friday. Chelsea will buy him for 80 million. You wouldn't have us cover for Saka. Listen, if you get me Ansu Fati for 20, 30, 40 mil, right wing, back up, I don't mind. We need a new right winger if Reece Nelson goes, which Reece Nelson might not even be good enough to stay, but I don't buy into it. It doesn't excite me. Young Nizzle said, not going to lie, Fatty benches Martinelli. He's more talented, but just too injury prone. Well, number one, I don't think he is better than Martinelli. Number two, the injury prone thing takes him out the occasion already. No, listen, I'm not saying Fatty's not a baller, but I don't think he's... I don't know why Arsenal would pay £42 million for him. I just don't. He's dropped down the last year or so since the injury. He's struggling to get into the Barcelona team. It's a no from me. I can't lie, people. I think there are better options. 3 goals this season. He only played 10 games last season. Only played 7 the year before. Obviously, he's had bad injuries. It doesn't excite me. I'm not going to lie. I'd rather get Leao. Leao would cost a lot of money, but Leao's got a year left in the summer. I'd rather take Leao. Fatty is outrageous, can't stay fit. Listen, he could be as good as Messi. If he can't stay fit, what's the point? What's the point? What's the reason Diaby never made it at Arsenal? He was a brilliant player. Santi Cazorla was a genius. Jack Wilshere was England's next best midfielder. Can't stay fit. They're no good to you. So get somebody that can stay fit. You look at this Arsenal team now, we're a lot less injury prone than we were 5 to 10 years ago. Smith Rowe's had a few problems. Tomiyasu last season. Jesus, obviously, that was an impact injury. Majority of our squad is fit and available. So things have improved. So going and spending 42 million on someone who's injury prone, I just think there's better options. And if we win the league, I wouldn't go for it personally. I wouldn't go for it. Fati is the perfect Arsenal player, said Alfred. He will stay on the medical bench and we will pay him for 10 years. I'm telling you, bro, I appreciate the super chat, Alfred, man. For me, listen, if he hadn't had that injury, I'm having a whole different conversation with you, by the way, because I think he's a talented player. But that injury has slowed him down. And he's a young Spanish player, Spanish international. The fact Barcelona are not starting him tells you there's a problem. So, yeah, for me, I wouldn't be rushing. I want to raid Brighton in the summer for Mitoma, Caicedo, Ferguson, and Rice for centre mid. I like Xavi Simons as well. Very good player. Salman said, I like Fati. He gets a lot of muscle injuries. Talent is out of this world, but started too young. Don said, I'd rather have Diaby to give Saka competition. So, yeah, for me, it's a Yaya no-go. It's a no-go, people. It is a Yaya. It's a no-go. Stay away from it. Good player. Crazy talent. Don't want an injury-prone player that sits on the medical room all the time. We're already panicking about ESR and saying, how long do we, stick with that situation? If we're at this stage at the end of next season, there's a real conversation to be had. So, anyway, I'm going to feed you all, people. Let's get you some waffle. And then we'll come back to the final couple transfer stories. And listen, I have to give you all a warning. If anybody that was tuned in at the start, Odegaard said, whatever Mikel Arteta tells you, you believe it. So don't get hypnotized by anything that you hear in this press conference, So stay calm. Whatever he says, there might be some cap involved, people. So relax. It's that time again. The Cone Man is back. Cone Man music. People say it's disrespectful that I call him the Cone Man, but I think we just have to embrace it now. We're running all the way to the title, hopefully, calling him the Cone Man, and then maybe we'll call him the Trophy Man at the end of the season. I have to admit it's stuck. I can't pull away from Cone Man music. I'm there. But here he is, big smile on his face. Hey, people, trust me. We lost 7 days ago to Everton. I tell you now, and I know what that smile is. We lost last week to a team second from bottom, his former club. Look at the way he's smiling in the press conference. You telling me there wasn't a phone call made on Sunday evening? Hi. No, I'd like to stay anonymous, please. I've got some information that I think could be some use to you. Some sponsorships you didn't know about. Some paperwork that might be of use to you in your FFP report for the year. And then Pep got the phone call on Monday. We've had an anonymous tip-off that you've been getting sponsorships that don't exist. I'm telling you, he smashed the fire alarm as they left Goodison Park. He said, listen, didn't expect to drop 3 points there. Tottenham won't do us a favour. Get the paperwork out. The smile's too big, I'm telling you. But anyway, let's move on. That big smile and the shiny hair remains, people. Let's hear what Waffle he's got to say this week. On the team news. Is anyone back? The ones that were long-term, like Emil. I mean, Emil was actually back. Mickey dropping dimes, man. He's moving like Gunner, people. I'm telling you. YSL, Rico case. Rico Lewis, man. I'm telling you, it all connects. Anyway, the ones that were long-term, Emil, Reece and Gabby Jesus. They are closer. They've started to do some activities and they have been outside. I'm outside, people. I'm outside. Gabby's outside. He's back. But they are not ready yet to be considered. Oh, okay. There we go. It's all ended. Please give us a time on how long Gabby Jesus going to be out. On speculation around Smith Rowe being ready for Brentford. Not for this weekend. How long is this brother out for, man? Come on, ESR. Are you fit, bruv? Are you fit, bruv? That's what I asked him. He said, yeah, that was July. Where you at, bro? It's February. On an update on Gabby Jesus, he said, Gabby is doing really well. He's already been outside a little bit, but it's early stages. He keeps pushing everybody every single day, but we need to respect some timelines and processes. He's doing really well. Rico Ross, man. Is he going to give us a time limit? I bet he doesn't. Oh, here we go, on a date for his return. It's still too far off that. You have to see how he reacts now when you start to put some load to the knee and get some movement and actions that are not controlled as the ones he's been doing, and where he's comfortable as well to go to the next stage. The disappointing thing for that, out of that comment for me, is that first sentence. It's still too far off for that. I mean, they were saying end of February. That would only be 2.5 weeks. That's worrying. That's worrying. I mean, he's done jogging and it looks like he's side-footing the ball with very little power. So, obviously, because he's had an operation on his knee, what he'll need to start doing now is running, changing direction, you know, the kind of pressure that you put on your knee in a football match. He obviously hasn't done yet. So, like Gunnar Graham saying there, I don't think he's going to play until the middle of March. And you got to think as well, there's an international break in mid-March. So they may even stretch it to the end of March. It seems like he's not as close as we maybe thought. Sounds like they're incarcerated, says Connor. They're trapped. He's got them trapped, Connor. Mind games, I hope so. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Mid to late March. I think so. Listen, maybe he is playing mind games, but I'm not sure. Jamino, I'm not sure if if bringing ESR back into the team would be a bad idea. Why fix something that isn't broken? Be a great option off the bench, though. Double figures last year. Look how many games he came off the bench and bagged last season. We haven't had that enough this season. Who really comes off the bench for Arsenal this season and changes games? We're relying on the starting 11. I said, locked up, but they'll let me out. No! Styles P and Akon settings, man, I'm telling you. Jesus won't play for the rest of the season. Nah, I think he will play. I think he will. He better be anyway. But it is worrying. Anyway, let's skip through the waffle, people. Don't want to delay you anymore. On an update on Saliba and Saka contracts, if they will take care of themselves. They will do in the same way we dealt with Gabby. We'll deal with the rest. Things need some time sometimes, but we are delighted with the news of Gabby. She doesn't say a lot. On us losing 2 matches as a reboot, he said, absolutely. It's not about a comfort zone in football. You're going to lose football matches. The match we lost to City was very different to the one we lost to Everton. Losing brings a lot of opportunities to look at other things, and the reaction of the team has been superb this week. Tomorrow we're going to put in a great performance in front of our crowd to try and win. Well, he says we're going to win and we're going to put in a great performance. Now, according to Martin Odegaard, anything he says comes true. So we're going to put in a great performance and we're going to win. Oh, yeah, Trossard off the bench. But look, he hasn't scored yet. I'm talking about a guy who's, ESR was coming off the bench on a regular basis, scoring. Trossard hasn't scored for us yet. He obviously hasn't been here for long. He looks as if he can be that player. But I would love to be bringing on Trossard and ESR in a game that we need to change, Yeah, manifestation. I respect it. I think we'll win tomorrow. But we're going to talk about it more. It's going to be a hard game. Trossard's in the building. He said, respect me. R-E-S-P-C-T. Oh, what it means to me. We respect you, bro. We respect you. And why Arteta did not celebrate Man City goals against Arsenal when he was there. Just for respect, because of the feeling I had for the club. If I had scored as a player, I would have done something similar. Listen, we know where the guy's heart is. We know where that paperwork came from. It was Mikel. No, really, I'm joking. Some people take this serious. Oh, we called him a snitch. Oh. It's just a running joke we've got going, people. It's just a running joke. On his view of the allegations against Man City, I'm not going to make any comment on that. I'm sorry. Of course he's sorry. He ain't going to say a damn thing. He said enough already. On if there's a worry the medals he won would be devalued. He said, I can't respond to that because I would be responding to part of the previous question. I don't want to do that. Yes! Finally! Finally! I need to know who said this. I've been waiting for so long. I've been through so much waffle. Finally, a question straight off the hip. Bow! That's the kind of question I would ask. I'll probably never be back to... I'll never be in a press conference again. But I respect this question on if he saw anything untoward going on during his time with Manchester City. Yes! Put some pressure on him, yes? Of course, he just answered no. But we know. He saw things. He knows what time it is. Big up my brother. Franny Green in the chat. Yes, community. Hit the like for my brother. Can't stay. Quick like. Francis! Big up to you, Fran. But what a question. Did you see anything untoward, Mikel? Did you see anything, Mikel? Hey? What about that Leroy Sané deal? That was a bit... Hey, did you... Don't worry, Mikel. We know the truth. But he was never going to leak it out in a press conference. I'd love to see his body language as he was asked that question. On the challenge, Brentford will pose many different ones. Do you know, we know what Brentford are about. Ivan Toney, FC, Wissa, and Buemo. They got ballers. They're going to be a tough game. I always do that to Fran, you know. You know, like your mum and that will call you by your full name, innit? You know, when you're getting called in. I remember I used to play football late night. My mum would just shout out my name loud, you know, the whole street. Yes! You knew it was dinner time then, innit? You're like, oh, sorry, lads, I've got to go. You know, I've got to go for dinner. Especially if you was the first one who had to go in, you was vexed. So I just have to shout, Francis! Did he say no with the big Arsene Wenger grin? I hope so. On if the Man City game will have an impact on his team against Brentford. Again, we're back to the foolish questions now. Our only focus is Brentford. On the reaction of the players after losing at Everton, really positive. We sat together, discussed the game and what happened. The opponent played their part, and you have to congratulate Everton for what they did on the day. It's true that there were things we didn't do in other games. That's the reason you lose. There's always an opportunity to bounce back. It is what it is. Wilma! Yeah, they might have to lose a goalpost. You know what? It was even worse if the ball was yours. And they were like, come on, man, let me just borrow the ball. You know, and Mum was like, no, you better bring that football back. It was all mad people. Yeah, 5 more minutes, please. And you're like, all right, come on, next goal wins. Those were the days, man. Those were the days. Yamming waffles, sipping syrup, Brentford lunches and City snitchers on that Coman music. Big up yourself, Elliot. He was on the Talk is Cheap show with me and Laurie in the fan zone bit of, and he spoke well, of course. Absolute ledge. Big up to everyone. Member stream will be next week, I promise. You know what? I'm upgrading the badges and stuff because I still got Nicolas Pepe on this. So I've got to update all that this week. On what it's like being involved in his first title race as a young manager, he said, as a young manager, a lot of energy. I'm an energy giver. I don't like energy suckers. Pause. I just like to give it. We're going in a crazy direction here. He said, I like the people who give energy in different ways that can be through body language, tone of voice, looking for solutions. I bring a lot of energy. I bring energy. A lot of energy. I mean, listen, I know it's Valentine's Day in a few days, but boy, I think he was asking you about football, bro. I don't know what he's talking about here, but man's going way off topic. But anyway, let's move on. I hope everyone has a great Valentine's Day on Tuesday, people. Make sure you're giving energy, you know. Anyway, on Odegaard's piece, challenging anyone who has a meeting with Arteta not to believe everything he says. Oh, dear me. So Odegaard said anything he says, he believes him. He said it's great that the players believe in what we tell them and that we convince them of the best way to play and win football. In the end, it's completely up to them because they have the more difficult job to make that happen. They better believe him, man. They better believe everything he says. On Gabriel's form, Gabriel's been in great form. Man said cone energy. Arteta moving like an R&B artist. Trust me, they don't make R&B like they used to, man. I don't even know. I don't even know what modern R&B looks like. I feel like back in the day, like old school R&B, you turn on the TV like MTV Base, or you turn on like, I don't know, Kiss or whatever channel it was. There'd be some R&B artists, probably have a do-rag on. You know, it'd be in the rain, the girls at the window. I was a player and I made the choice to give my heart. You know, they're having breakdowns outside. Ooh, you know, it's all that. You know what I mean? Tyrese and all that. They're going mad. MTV Base, you know, man's just having a meltdown outside in the rain. You know, it's pouring down with rain. Man's outside the car. You know what I mean? Joe, you know, just singing or, you know what I mean? I don't even know what modern day R&B looks like. What is R&B nowadays? I don't know what modern R&B is. It's crazy. Do you know? Come on, man. Big tune. You know about them big tunes. How you gonna act like me to you? Yo, R&B, but you had to close your eyes for them. God, just to get them notes out. I don't know what these R&B tunes are now. What they listening to? Drake. Oh, man. They don't know. They don't know, bro. They don't know. Them bad boy tunes from back in the... You know what I mean? One wishing that... Yo, you know, man, that old school R&B was different, man. You know what I mean? Jodeci and that. Them R&B singers, man, do-rag on, rain in the... They got no... You know what I mean? Chest all out in the rain. The girls at the window, they're having a meltdown. Ah, you know what I mean? I don't know what's R&B nowadays, man. Boy, man. They don't know, man. They don't know. Well, maybe I'm just getting older, as I said, people. Anyway, let's continue. That was a little break there. Boot cuts with boot cuts. The boot cut jeans, Timberland boots. It was all mad, people. They just don't make R&B like they used to, man. It's crazy. That was just a little R&B advert there, man. But anyway, I had tunes running through my head at the time, you know, and I thought, let's just have a second away. Right, back to the waffle. A lot of big tunes you're putting in the comments, by the way. I love it. On Gabriel's form, not only his performances, but the way he's evolving. He's evolved again. We got another Pokemon in the team. He's getting better every phase of play, everything we demanded. His leadership, his importance, his mentality. He's come a long way since he joined the club. Oh, Sony Walkman, man. Come on. They don't know. They don't know. You know how difficult it was to stop them CDs from getting scratched? Boy, man, they don't know, people. They don't know. To keep the scratches off them CDs, you had to be a miracle worker. I remember I used to have like 5 CDs in the same case. Case wouldn't even close properly, people. I had that many CDs. Why didn't I just put them in separate cases? Just pure laziness. I walked around with 5 CDs in the same case, scratching the hell out of each other, trying to keep them going. You know what I mean? I have a little hip-hop one, little R&B one. It was all mood dependent. Then we upgraded a little bit. The iPod was madness. You know what I mean? A lot of you putting some real big tunes in the comments. You know, I'm tempted to sing them, but some of you don't like my singing. I'm trying, but it's the iPod. Come on, that's when your game was really stepped up. No more CDs. It was mad, people. But hey, tough times. Well, in fact, they were good times. In fact, fix the cassette. Now that was. I remember I used to record Tim Westwood's show every Friday night just to get the new hip hop and that. It was mad. Don't know, yo. I'm telling people, you're tempting me to start singing a lot of these songs. I'm holding back. I can't lie. I'm holding back. Anyway, let's keep going because I'm getting distracted by the music. On Balogun being top scorer in Liga, I'm so happy for him. He's a boy that has a really clear idea of what he wants to do with his career. He's ambitious, committed and brave. We discussed a lot before he made that move, whether it was the right place and other choices he had. He was so convinced. I'm happy for him because he deserves what he's getting. Interesting, he doesn't mention anything of him coming back, though, so we'll have to see what happens with that, although there is another question there. Oh, Jagged Edge, come on. It was the bangers that you lot are putting. Jaheim, don't get me. Let me just continue. The tunes, if I start singing, I won't be able to stop, and we'll lose the whole stream. On Arsenal needing to capitalise on any potential Man City slip-ups, he said, we have enough to look at. We have enough to look after our own garden. That's what we do. Look after your own garden, bro. Don't worry what they're growing over there. They're growing corruption. That's what they're growing. They're growing court cases over there. You know what I mean? We don't need to grow that. Let's look after our garden. Oh, LimeWire, bro. You know what LimeWire was doing to my computer back in the day? 15 minutes to get one track. No antivirus on the account. Computer was an absolute carnage by the time I got that track downloaded. But it was worth it. Dial-up internet was suffering to get me one track on LimeWire. It was all mad. On whether he's surprised by Balogun's form, he said, I'm very pleased. When you look at the numbers, what he's doing, it's just incredible. It's very rare to see. But he's got something special. That's why we decided to give him a long-term contract, and we have faith in him. In the period that he needs now, because the one loan he is having now is different to the one he had at Middlesbrough. That one was necessary to see the outcome of what he's having now. Still doesn't mention him coming back, though, which is interesting. You know, I thought he would have said next season. And we're going to talk about that, obviously, afterwards. On whether the players will take their eye off the ball this weekend, he said, no, it's impossible to think about City when we have Brentford. On what he wanted from Balogun's loan in France. Oh, they're asking a lot of questions. He had some scars from the period at Middlesbrough. There were moments when he suffered, moments he played when he didn't, moments he played in what he believes not his best position. He threw all those excuses out, got on to the next experience, put that behind him, but using exactly what worked for him and what didn't to look in the mirror and move on to the next. On what the plan is for Balogun's future, the plan is now he finishes his loan period, we assess the situation where he is, where we are, we sit down and we plan the next chapter. I would say that they're open-minded about his situation. And we're going to talk about it, in fact, so I don't want to go on about it too much, but I think him going and staying are equally as possible, in my opinion, depending on what offers we get for him. If somebody comes in with a big bag of money for him, I think they'll consider it. But I would like them to keep him for a little bit and see how he gets on in the Prem. On the revamped ideas for the Super League, he said, another topic that I cannot touch. Sorry. On how determined he is to win the league regardless of points deductions. Let's focus on what we have to do. Win enough football matches for that to happen. We have to earn the right to win it. That's for sure. Waffle Cone Man settings done and dusted, people. I love how you guys are still throwing in R&B songs. Trust me, I'm fighting the cause not to start singing here. You know what I mean? You don't think when I... Like Keegan's put in there, you think I'm like, let me hold you. I can see the video, I can hear the song. I'm holding back here, people. They'll mash me up on copyright, you know what I mean? Let me love you. Yeah, come on, you should let me love you. You know what I mean? I got to hold it back here. If I was your best friend, I want you around. Oh, what a tune, but don't get me started. Let's move on. I'm getting caught up. We'll turn this into a throwback R&B session. Anyway, something that didn't turn out like an R&B song, or certainly not a positive one, is this brother Caicedo. He doesn't look happy there, that's for sure. He definitely not looking like, you know, Ray J outside in the rain singing One Wish. He definitely didn't get his one wish, that is for sure. But Moises Caicedo, an interview from a friend of the channel, of course, Ben Jacobs, who usually lets the clip off. He says that Moises Caicedo could be cheaper in the summer than he would have been in the January transfer window, due to the fact that a number of other big midfielders will be available and he will not be the main topic of discussion. You've also got to look at it as well. De Zerbi said in many of the press conferences, I've told him to wait until the end of the season. So clearly he's had a discussion with him. Listen, stay here until the end of the season. See if Brighton can achieve something great. And we won't stand in your way if we get a big deal for you. And I think that's what they'll do in the summer. So Ben Jacobs saying that, listen, Chelsea have signed Enzo Fernandez. Man United have got Casemiro. Liverpool may look at him. But of course they want Jude Bellingham. It could be actually easier to get him in the summer. So they're saying it could cost about 60 million to get him in the summer. So will Arsenal revisit this in the summer though? It's interesting. Like, there have been a number of times where we've tried to get big players in January, haven't gone back in for them at the end of the season. It's like, we want you now, but we won't necessarily come back for you at the end of the season. So would you go back in for him in the summer? I still think he'll be expensive. I think Liverpool will look at him. They've been linked with him. They need a midfielder. I suppose it depends whether they're taken over and they've got cash on the hip, and whether they're in the Champions League. So this will be an interesting one. Now, I'm going to just flip it straight away. The other side of this deal is this man. Man like Declan Rice. Now, the interesting thing about this, David Moyes did a press conference. David Moyes said that anybody that wants to buy Declan Rice this summer will have to break the British transfer record to get him to Arsenal. Now, the British transfer record in terms of an English player is Jack Grealish at £100 million. Now, I'm sorry, mate. I am not paying £100 million for some Pilar Rice. I'm just not. I got rice in the cupboard, Uncle Ben's, £1.50 from the shop. I am not paying 100 mil for Declan Rice. Listen, he is not worth it. I've said many times, Declan Rice is a good player. I'd take him if he was paying 60, 70 million. Maybe even then I think you could get someone better. 100 million? Just leave him there, man. Let him run down that contract if you think that's how much he's worth. And someone will pick him up in 12 months on a free. If that's what he thinks he's worth, he'll watch him leave in 2024 on a free, because there's no way he's worth 100 mil with a year left on. He's not even worth 100 mil on a 5-year deal. So never mind a year left on his deal. Yeah, maybe Chelsea will turn up and put crazy amounts of money on the table, but I don't even think Chelsea would pay 100 million for him. I don't. They've offered N'Golo Kante a new deal. They've still got Kovacic. They've got Gallagher, they've got Mount, they've got Enzo. He's nowhere near a £100 million player. Only West Ham view him as a £100 million player, that is for sure. So for me, this is when I talk about English tax. This is the equivalent of what that is. English tax, people. Harry Maguire, 85 mil. Jack Grealish, 100 mil. Declan Rice, 100 mil. No chance. Absolutely no chance. So, yeah, in terms of that one, I would go nowhere near him. If you could get him for 60, 70, cool. 100 mil, leave him there. We'll come back in 12 months and get him for nothing. Anyway, people, let's look ahead to tomorrow's game. And it's a big one. And I think we need... My biggest bit of advice to Arsenal would be, as a fan, I'm going to be totally honest, a little percentage of my mind is already thinking about the Man City game, right? Just purely based on the excitement and how big that game is. That's fine. We're fans. We can get away with that. As a player, not for 1 second can they be thinking about that game. This is a game, if our mind is not solely on this game, we will slip up tomorrow. Let me tell you this. If we're not focused on this game tomorrow, we will drop points. If we turn up and play properly and perform how we can, I'm confident that we can beat Brentford, right? If we don't, we will come unstuck. Let me tell you, Brentford, are in very good form at the moment. Very good form. They are dangerous, right? Their last 5 games, they've won 4 of them and drawn 1. They are actually the most informed team in the Premier League at the moment. In the last 5 games, they've got the best record in the whole division. 4 wins and 1 draw. Ivan Toney, all of these, they're going to be dangerous. They are very physical. They're going to look, like you're saying there, South London, they're going to look at Everton last week and go, there's the blueprint. And I'm not talking about Jay-Z's album. There is the blueprint. Go there, put players in front of the ball, edge of the box, be physical in midfield, rough them up, and put crosses into the area. And Ivan Toney and them, man, are dangerous in the air. This is a tough, tough game. 9 games unbeaten. They are no joke, people. This is a tough game. Simple question. Let me put it into context. Arsenal versus Brentford on Saturday. Arsenal versus Manchester City on Wednesday. Aston Villa versus Arsenal next Saturday. 3 games in 7 days. Do we have to rotate slightly? And I mean slightly. Or, in your opinion, do we just go full whack? I want to know your thoughts in the comments. And I still consider it going full strength with the players that I'm going to talk about. I would potentially make 1 change. Maybe 2 changes, I'm not sure. The 2 players in question for me would be Ben White and Martinelli. They are the 2. But I want to know what you think regarding that. I think, obviously, Ramsdale's going to play in goal. There's no question with that. I would rest Ben White. I'm looking at it like this with Ben White, right? He's had an absolutely brilliant season. So I don't want anybody to think, oh, he's being dropped or, you know, Amaru said, Big C, if we don't win tomorrow, no chance for the Prem. Well, we need to win, bro. We need to win. Big up for the super chat. I think Ben White's looked a little bit tired over the last few weeks. I don't think he's performed at the same level in the last 2 games. Dwight McNeil caused him problems. Rashford caused him problems. They're good in the air as well, Brentford. And I do think Tomiyasu is very good in the air. I would play Tomiyasu at right back. Because sometimes you got to wonder, are they fatigued? These are players that went to the World Cup. It's interesting that Martinelli went to the World Cup as well, didn't he? And he's looked a little bit short. Zinchenko at left back, even though I've been saying that I think Martinelli would benefit from having Kieran Tierney, but Zinchenko's playing very well at the moment, so there's no way I'm going to drop him. And he missed a lot of games earlier in the season, so he's not going to be tight. That's a fantastic back four. And this is the great thing. I don't see Tomiyasu coming in for Ben White as any kind of drop in quality. It's just a different player, and he's a natural right back, so I actually think he might overlap Saka a bit more. Gareth said, are you the reason why all the merch in the Arsenal story sold out? Was trying to buy a hoodie and I can't. Bro, I mean, I popped in there in the week. There was quite a lot in there. Which hoodie was you trying to get? Nah, man, I didn't buy no merch this week. I got this one a couple of weeks ago. The midfield, I mean, I have to say, I really hope that Thomas Partey is 100% fit, because we have to remember, he got took off against Manchester City with bruised ribs, and he then comes off against Everton. If he's not 100%, I actually wouldn't play him with that Man City game, but he's got to play at the same time. I don't want to play against an energetic Brentford with Xhaka and Jorginho in the pivot. Martin Odegaard in the 10, of course. He believes anything Arteta tells him, and he's told us we're going to win tomorrow, so he plays. Bukayo plays on the right. As I said, I think he will benefit from Tomiyasu getting around him, because Ben White stayed, behind, and then Saka's always 2-on-1 in this area. It's very difficult. You watch Mahrez, he gets a fullback on the overlap, and then it allows him to drift inside and go 1-on-1. So I think Tomiyasu and Saka, they had a very good partnership last season. So I would do that. Do you know what? I've been thinking about it as I'm saying this. I'm like, Martinelli just signed a new deal. First home game since the deal. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm giving Trossard his debut at home. Manchester City on Wednesday. I think Martinelli might need a break. He's had a couple of poor games lately. He's looked a little bit one-dimensional. And I think the break could benefit him. And you keep him fresh for the City game. He's obviously a great option to bring off the bench later on against tired legs. So, yeah, for me, I'm going to give Trossard his home debut. I'm going to give him his home debut if I'm picking the team. What do people think? Eddie obviously plays up front. And he hasn't scored in his last couple of games, so he'll be desperate to get a goal. Tarun said, Curtis, people use the same blueprint narrative after the Newcastle match. There's no blueprint. We only lost 2 games of 20. People need to relax. You know the thing, though, bro, I'll be honest with you, and I get your point. We've lost 2 of 20. It's not the end of the world. I don't think Newcastle actually set the blueprint, because when Newcastle came, they just sat behind the ball. They didn't even really attack us that much. Everton sat behind the ball but attacked us. So I think their performance was a little bit different to the Newcastle one. I never really felt like Newcastle were going to beat us. They were more than happy to draw that game. Everton, you could tell they were going for us. So this would be my team, though. I would make 2 changes. Tomiyasu for Ben White. Trossard for Martinelli. You've got to use the squad. You've got to use the squad. I don't look at that as a negative. I don't look at Martinelli being rested as, oh, you're dropping him and he's not good enough. No, he's been fantastic this season. He's had a couple of average games in a row, right? Wasn't great against United. Wan-Bissaka kept him quiet. Even Doherty kept him quiet against Tottenham. And then he didn't even trouble Seamus Coleman. 3 games in a row, didn't really play that well. I'm just giving him a rest. And then this competition for places, this is what happens at top football clubs. Trossard will be desperate to play well, start against Man City. Martinelli will be desperate to come on and get his place back. I think it creates that hunger. And this happens at the top clubs, and we need to act like a top club. Competition is fair, and it's supposed to be used to drive players to keep up that consistency, rather than saying you can have 3 bad games and still get picked. I want Martinelli to feel that pressure that Trossard's there. So that's the team I would go for. I think it gives us options. Obviously, with Martinelli's a great option. You know, if Trossard's having a good game and Eddie's struggling, you could put Martinelli up front. If Trossard's tired, you can put Martinelli on the left. There's things you can do. Ben White can come on if Tomiyasu's tired. You've got Jorginho. You've got Fabio Vieira. Smart Cookie said, I don't even want Jorginho on the bench. Listen, we better hope that Thomas Partey is fully fit. He might end up starting the game, but he didn't mention him in the press conference. No, Jesus has taken its toll on Martinelli's game, and I agree with that. I think we are missing Gabriel Jesus. That's no slander on Eddie Nketiah, because he's hit the back of the net, but I think his link-up play, his hold-up play, his positional understanding actually brings more out of Saka and Martinelli. And I think Martinelli has suffered a little bit with Gabriel Jesus not being in the team. I look at Eddie as very much focused on the goal, not necessarily a link-up striker. They're a little bit different in that sense. So I think Martinelli definitely would benefit from Gabby Jesus coming back. So big up to Ali. Listen, people, thank you very much for tuning in today. As usual, just over an hour and 5 minutes. Another great show. Over 2,000 of you in the chat. 48 of you on Twitch. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Curtis Shaw Clips channel on YouTube as well. That channel is growing nicely. We'll have new content there every day if we can. I believe everything you say, Big C. Hey, we got you hypnotized like Mikel Arteta has got Odegaard hypnotized. 2:15 tomorrow, people. The watch along will be underway. 3 o'clock kickoff. Arsenal against Brentford. Big game. Make sure you tune in for that one. Gonna be a big one. And then obviously the massive one against Man City on Wednesday. Enjoy your Friday, people. Take care. I'll see you all tomorrow for the watch along. Bless.